If you've ever felt like you're in a rut or a loop or you keep on repeating patterns and you rather would like to reinvent yourself and get yourself out of that old identity so that you can become the next best version of yourself, that's exactly what I'm going to walk through here on this video. What's up, guys? My name is Nico Rapklis, and I've had to reinvent myself numerous times, from athlete to then business owner to broke Uber driver to six-figure entrepreneur and tons after that. And so I've discovered this framework that I've been using over the last 10, even 20 years that has helped me consistently recreate myself, re-identify myself, and reinvent myself in less than 3 months. And I want to share that here on this video so that you can understand that as well. So I have this circular drawing here, and I'm going to walk you through these three components that most people try to do from the outside in rather than from what I like to call the inside out. And so we're also going to talk about the roller coaster success model that so many people start operating on. And it's the reason that they stay in these loops. Okay, so you're in for a treat here. Now, let's look at this circular diagram here, and let's just look at what most people will do. Okay, so most people will start on the outside. Okay, and that is with our actions, and they'll think, oh, I just have to take more actions. I just have to, if it's in your business, I just have to generate more leads. If I just, if I just create more content, if I, just have more conversations, then my business is going to grow and it's going to get to the point where I really want it to be. And yes, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, what is the main source of truth, and what is the thing that's going to fuel everything else? And so if you're just consistently taking actions, which again, I love taking action, it's an imperative part of the journey, but that oftentimes leads us to what I call is roller coaster success. Okay, so you go up and down, up and down, up and down, and you'll hit this mark right here, okay, at the top, and then you'll hit this down at the bottom, okay? And so what exactly is that top? Well, we'll talk about that throughout this video, but really what that is that's your self-image, okay? How you see yourself, because there was a self-image psychologist, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, that made this or developed this concept called self-image psychology, because what he did is, I think it was back in the 20s or maybe even the 30s, and he was a plastic surgeon. And so people would come to him, they felt ugly, they had a cleft lip or whatever it was, they didn't feel beautiful, they felt ugly. And so he would chop them up a little bit, and then he would make them quote unquote beautiful. But then they would look in the mirror and they'd be like, I don't see anything. I don't see anything different, even though aesthetically they looked beautiful, right? And so that's kind of the approach that a lot of people are taking, is they're going after the actions, they're going after the external, and nothing actually changes in the internal. They still see themselves as that same person. They still see that self. For me, until I reinvented myself from baseball player to entrepreneur, I was still stuck in that baseball player, and I was never going to get, no matter how many businesses I started, no matter how many leads I generated, I was still under the identity of a baseball player. And that kept me stuck. And I would just yo-yo success, bam, 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 hit the top, because it would just keep on pushing me down. And how this shows up is like, you'll feel like you're having success. There's nothing, like, you do, right? You start growing, and that's how it happened with my business, is I would grow my business to a degree, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm good. Like, things are kosher, right? And then all of a sudden I'd take my foot off the gas, I'd fall back down until I hit like an oh shit moment where I'm like, oh damn, I got to get back on track. Up and down, up and down. And most people live that cycle their entire lives. And so until we shift things and we go more to the internal, nothing's really going to change that much. So we got to get out of just the actions. Okay, it's not that actions are bad, but if we don't adhere to the rest of this, then nothing's going to change. Okay, and so before I dive into the rest of this, I want to help you understand, and this is what we take our community through, is we run them through our vision quiz, which helps them gain a lot of clarity on who is that version of themselves that they really want to invent themselves into, right? Unless you have clarity, it's really tough to even reinvent yourself, because you'll just stay stuck in that old version of yourself. And so that's why we created the vision quiz. If you want to go check that out, click the link down below or go to visionespresso.co. That is a place where you can, in about 20 minutes, increase your clarity. Some entrepreneurs have increased their clarity by up to 108% in less than 20 minutes. It's our sexy marketing headline, because we track everything. Okay, we're very numbers driven at Vision Espresso. Okay, so clarity is number one, and then from that, people that go through the vision quiz, we'll take them onto our future self blueprint call that really maps out all this stuff. So I want to basically walk you through what we do inside of that call, which is really powerful. Okay, so it's all about clarity. We call it level 50 clarity. If you're not clear on where you're going, then there's no way that you'll actually get there, right? Think about it from a GPS standpoint. You're always going to plug in a coordinate, and then you're going to go there and you're going to course correct. But if you don't plug in a coordinate, you'll just be driving around all the place asking why you're not where you want to be. Yet that's what most people are doing. So we have to get honest with ourselves of like, who do we actually want to create ourselves into? And one of the most powerful things that you can do is ask yourself questions. What do I want? What do I not want? What kind of lifestyle do I want to live? What kind of lifestyle do I not want to live? What does my perfect day look like? What is like an average Tuesday? What kind of people are hanging around with? What kind of activities am I doing? What kind of experiences am I having? How am I serving? How am I helping? Like, ask yourselves those questions and be honest. Like, yes, take some time to answer those questions, but most people sit in this whole, like, the era of I don't know, right? And it's, from my perspective, it's a cop-out, because you can do anything in this world, you just can't do everything. And when people say I don't know, because I was that guy for so long, when you just say I don't know, it's a cop-out, because you're just not deciding. And the heaviest thing in the world is not gold, silver, titanium, it's an unmade decision. And so the longer you stay in I don't know land, the heavier it gets, and it gets harder and harder to make a decision. And so if you were to just make a decision, hey, this is the direction I'm going, that would change everything, and then you could course correct from there. But the longer you stay in I don't know land, because of the fact you haven't answered these questions that you've asked yourself, it's just keeping you stuck more and more, and that's when you really stay stuck in those patterns. Okay, so what's the next step to all this? Well, it's coming back to this sheet or this diagram, and let's go here. So it's a second here. So our subconscious and our stories is really the next layer in. Okay, we talked all about actions. Now, what is the subconscious story that's going on? What is the thing that's guiding everything? Because you have to think about our subconscious as our fighter jet, and then our conscious mind, which again is governed by our actions. That's all the, hey, let me do this, I can do this, like, let me have this conversation. These are all your conscious decisions, your actions, your behavior. Like, that is conscious, that is great. But the subconscious controls about 95 to 99% of your life. Okay, it's like the jet engine when your conscious mind is the pilot. Like, you can direct and do things, but the engine is 100 times more powerful. So it doesn't matter how, like, you steer. Like, if the story is programmed to go east, like, it's going east no matter what, and you as the fighter pilot have to adjust it and say, hey, we're actually going south. We have to program it correctly. So you have to identify what are those stories first and foremost. And so one of the best ways that you can do that is ask, where do I usually mess it up? Because that's going to show you your patterns, which is ultimately showing you where your subconscious is at. Okay? For me, for a really long time, I made another video on this channel about the yips and how it would freeze up because I would put a lot of pressure on myself to perform. And then that would translate into business as well. I would freeze up when I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform. So that was a reoccurring experience that happened over and over again that was no longer serving me. It was a protection mechanism. So ask yourself, how are you usually messing it up? And then bring in some direct examples of the last time or the most recent times that you've messed it up. And that'll tell you where your subconscious patterns are, your subconscious stories, because that's some sort of subconscious story that's going on over and over and over and over and over, driving it deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Because here's the thing, and we're getting to like the real solution here, is that neurons that wire together or fire together wire together. And I talk a lot about this in the Joe Dispenza videos that I've made on this channel. And I made a post on my Instagram I think it was last week, showing you under a microscope how neurons are fired and wired together, how these synapses come together and create these neural connections. And so it's fascinating when you look at that, because now you can see what really comes down to is the repetition, the repetition, the repetition, right? The more you repeat something, the more you believe something. The more you repeat something, the more you believe something. And then what ends up happening when it becomes your subconscious story, you don't even realize that you're repeating it, but you are, because it's all under the surface. It's like the iceberg, but you can only see the tip. That's the conscious. Everything underneath is the subconscious, right? So it's just repeating on autopilot until you make a decision of what your new subconscious story is. It's just going to keep on repeating. Those neurons are firing and wiring together stronger and stronger, and then it just keeps on pulling you down. No wonder you can't get out of your patterns. You can't reinvent yourself, right? So we have to choose a new story that we reinvent ourselves into this new version, and we have to repeat that over and over and over and over again until it eventually becomes your identity, right? I believe that I am this person that relaxes in the pressure-filled moments, that is excited in the pressure-filled moments, that takes action instead of overthinking, instead of procrastinating, just moves quickly, intuitive, excited, happy, joyful. That's the version of me that I'm really stepping into. But you have to decide on what is the version of you that you're stepping into. What is the identity that you want to step into? And so we have to consciously decide on that new story so that it eventually just becomes our identity. We don't have to tell that story because it just ingrains into our subconscious, and then all of a sudden, that's just who we are. And it's the new subconscious story that keeps on running over and over, firing and wiring those neurons together, and just gets stronger and stronger over time, where then that's your fighter jet. You say you want to go north, and then you've programmed the jet to go north. You're in alignment, right? And so how do you do that? Well, I made another post on my Instagram. I was talking about the law of the ceiling. This comes back to Maxwell Maltz again and his whole process of creative imagination. And again, I use this so much. I use this every time that I'm going through an identity shift where I'm reinventing myself, but I'm choosing who is that version of me that is required to go to that level that I say that I want, because now I have that clarity. Now I have to turn that into my new subconscious story and then my identity. Okay, so you have to immerse yourself in that, because you're going to want to naturally swing back to your old subconscious program, your old story, your old identity. And it's going to win every single time unless you consciously decide and immerse yourself in the new story. You see it and you feel it. And so what Maxwell Maltz always talks about is relaxation and creative imagination. So you have to relax into your body. Like anytime I'm getting tight, anytime I'm noticing I'm super in my head, all these thoughts are going and firing, I do my best to just relax and do things that are going to help me relax, get into a relaxed state. I do sauna, I do cold plunge. Those type of things help me relax. Get good sleep, help me relax. Meditation helps me relax. Get into a mindfulness practice where I'm taking my meditation practice into the rest of my day, where I relax more and more and I stay very present. Just notice when you're trying to it's like all this energy, like, I gotta figure it out. Are you and then ask yourself, am I being present? Am I relaxed? Notice your muscles, like where they tense up, and just release them. Just relax. Because ultimately, I love drawing these metaphors about plants. They're so powerful. But think about when you're in that tight, tense state, it's like the dirt and the soil is like hard, rocky soil. You throw a seed in there and you put water on it and you give it sunlight. It might grow, it might not. It's likely not. But if you had fertile soil that was rich and nutrient dense, and then you put that seed in, and then you put water on, and then sunlight, and then the repetition, that's when it'll actually grow. And that's why a fertile soil is you being relaxed, you being in your body. So make it a practice to be in your body, to relax, to stay grounded. And then it's creative visualization. See that version of you that is the person that's required. So when I see myself, again, I've had a history of freezing up on stage or freezing in baseball. But now I see myself as just going up there and crushing it, having fun, relaxing, being excited, cracking jokes when I'm on stage. When I'm on a sales call, I see myself as, oh man, that guy just, he closes, he does it, he's detached, like he just loves to serve, the way he communicates, the way he operates, the way he talks to people. People can just feel it, and I just see that over and over again, and I feel it too because I'm just like seeing it over and over and over again. It like gives me chills thinking about it. Right? It's so powerful when you can envision the version of you, and it gives you chills. Because that's when you're actually tapping into that future self. That's when you're tapping into that new version that you're wanting to reinvent yourself into. And you do that over and over again, coming back to Maxwell Maltz stuff, you're firing and wiring together. It's creating those new neural pathways that is actually you believing that you can be that person. And every time you do that, the more time you spend in that version of you, you actually are stepping into that reinvented version of yourself. Okay? So that's what I got for y'all. It all starts with clarity. Okay? We need to be aware of where our subconscious and our stories are going on, because those are the things that are governing everything, because they ultimately become your identity. And so it's about consciously choosing the new identity, rehearsing that from a relaxed state, getting to the point where you feel that, and then every time you step into it. Because here's the thing, is that they've done countless studies to show that the brain cannot differentiate what is real and what's vividly imagined. And so if it's all about reps and repetition of those neurons firing and wiring together, how do we get the most reps possible? Well, the most amount of reps possible is visualizing it and then going and doing it. So again, it's not about actions being a bad thing, but we have to take those actions from the identity of who you're becoming. And the way you do that is get as many reps as possible in your mind, and then you take actions with, that's another rep. So you're doubling up the reps, firing and wiring those neurons together. So just lightning powder, gunpowder. Oh, trust you guys enjoyed that. Let me know down in the comments. This is something that always helps you. It helps you like actually step into that version of yourself, is more accountability. So put down below, what is the version of you, the identity that you're stepping into, so that we can hold you accountable. Feel free to join our Skool community, and we'll hold you even more accountable in there. All right. Thank you for watching this, guys. Subscribe, share this with a friend, and we'll talk to y'all soon.